Welcome to the next lecture of non-destructive testing. In this lecture, we are going to discuss about ultrasonic testing for identification of cracks, seamless, and blowholes in casting process. So let us discuss how ultrasonic testing generally works. What are the principles behind this? So let us first understand what is ultrasonic testing. So everyone knows that ultrasonic is applicable to what is the first of all what is the benefit of ultrasonic testing compared to that of magnetic particle testing or liquid penetration testing is that in ultrasonic testing it can be used for any kind of material, but whereas for magnetic particle testing it is mostly applicable only for magnetic particles. But whereas ultrasonic testing is applicable for any kind of material, whether it is metallic, non-metallic, whether it is whether it is magnetic material or non-magnetic material. It can be used for any kind of material because it is only the sound waves which you have to send through the material and how the waves are getting reflected back from the surface that we have to see. So in ultrasonic testing, generally we send high frequency waves. Generally, it ranges from 10 to 1 to 10 megahertz. Okay, so to conduct the testing and to make the measurements. Generally, ultrasonic testing can be conducted on a wide variety of materials, including casting, forging, welds, composites. It can be used on any material. By this method, we can able to understand the surface discontinuities. Either we can understand the laps, voids, cracks, blowholes. For example, while we are making casting, there may be blowholes created because of mixing or because of pouring of hot casting into the molds. Okay. So what is the basic principle generally we see in ultrasonic testing is we connect a source of ultrasonic testing which generates ultrasonic waves to the material. When we are connecting to the material and we are sending the signal, so sound signals which ranges from 1 to 10 megahertz. So the sound waves are passed through the material and it get reflected back from the end of the surface. Okay, so when it is getting reflected back from the surface, we generally absorb this kind of wave. So generally, this is generally even seen in our ECG machines for the way the heart reacts or the way the heart beats. Okay, so if there is any flaw, for example, if there is no flaw, it gets reflected from the other end of the surface. So we can measure the distance between these two, and we can able to understand that there is no flaws between them. Because of that, the wave has been reflected from here. So we can able to understand that the signal is heard back. So same thing is even used in your finding the distance of your aircraft from the space. Sorry, from the ground level. Either it is aircraft, either it is fighter jets, whatever it may be. Okay. So the basic principle is this: when if there is, for example, there is some defect. Example. So previously we have understand that it used to be obtained at a distance at some particular distance. The same thing happens in your ECG also. If the number of waves has been changed, because of that they can able to analyze that there is a blockage in your heart. Okay. So similarly, if there is a defect in your specimen because of the presence of this defect or the void or gap, what happens means when the signal hits it, so it gets reflected back. So you will be finding an extra defective signal in your ECG in your ultrasonic testing machine, whether you can able to understand that it is there is some defect existing, and by correlating the distance between the original and this distance, we can able to find the ratio at which the your flaw is present. Okay. So similarly here they have given, let us find the consider to it is to be at a distance of 60. So we can able to understand the depth of the defect can also be read with reference to the marks on the screen. Okay. Similarly, if it is present at a distance of 30, 40, then also we can able to identify. So the closer the reflector to the surface, the signal will be more to the left of the screen. Okay. If it is closer means it will be reflected back more to the screen. Because the thickness is red from the screen. The thinner the material is, the lesser the distance the sound travel. Means your peak will go higher because the reflections are more. The sound which you have sent, for example, it is like 10 hertz, you are going to achieve it to be 8 hertz, 4 hertz. The thickness is less. If the thickness is more, what happens means when it is going and hitting your end surface and coming back, during this it has to travel a lot of distance. So while coming back, its frequency obviously will reduce. If the thickness is less, what happens means the reflection wave will also have a high frequency. From that you can able to understand the thickness is less. Okay. So what is the basic principle of the ultrasonic testing is ultrasonic testing has uses a ultrasonic transducer connected to a diagnostic machine is passed over the object being inspected. The transducer is typically separated from the test object by a couplant such as oil or by water or by immersing test. However, the ultrasonic testing is conducted with the electromagnetic acoustic transducer. What is this acoustic transducer? The way the material is going to behave to the sound waves. The use of couplant is not required. There are two methods of receiving the ultrasonic waveform, that is reflection and authentication. Okay, so if this is your distance, if you are sending the signal, if it is getting reflected back, if the distance of the surface is this much, height of the object, so you can able to find the height from here. Similarly, if there is a defect which is present at distance z, then the distance is obtained like this. Okay, if you observe these two frequencies, this frequency is initially high, but whereas this frequency is less because of reflection. But comparing to that, this is less because of no existing of loss. You can able to attain the same almost same frequency. But whereas here, because of presence of some flaws, the frequency has been reducing. Okay, so initial pulse, so a crack echo pulse, back surface pulse. Okay, so these are read by the pulse receiver. Basing on this, we can able to understand the where is the location of your flaw. So before understanding these things, let us study few of the basic terminologies how the ultrasonic what we say ultrasonic testing is being carried out and what are the terminologies being involved in this. So first of all, you have to understand what is the sound. Sound is nothing but the propagation of noise through a medium. So generally the sound does not travel in vacuum. So in sound, for the traveling of for the motion of a sound waves, there is a particle motion, so which is studied by using a wavelength. Wavelength is nothing but the distance required to complete a cycle. Okay, so from initial to final, what is the amount, what is the wave, how it is travel, that is measured by using a wavelength. So height of the wavelength. Frequency, the number of cycles per minute or per second. Generally, we call it as a frequency. Velocity is nothing but how fast or how quickly the sound travels. So we know the distance units of all this. Wavelength is generally measured in millimeters because it is a length. Frequency is measured in terms of n by r cycles per second. That is nothing but number divided by second. CPS we call it as velocity, generally measured in terms of meter per second or mm per second. So basic principle behind this is when you hit a surface by using a hammer. So what happens means the surface, this energy is being transported to this surface which is exterior. So the sound generated here will try to take that energy and it will transmit the energy to the next adjacent layer to it. If you have studied about metallurgy and material science, you might have studied the unit cells. So similarly, for every material, there will be large number of unit cells. So that unit cell which has been obtained the energy, it will transmit the energy to the next level. So that energy will be keep on transmitting to the next level, next level, next level. So these keep on happening. So until unless it goes to the free surface where there is no next layer to it. So at that surface it cannot even transmit its energy to the next layer. So what it does is it gets reflected back to the previous surface. So this happens generally. Okay. The sound is being produced by vibrating when it travels into the form of waves. Sound travels through a material by vibrating the particles that make up the material. The pitch of the sound is determined by the frequency of the wave that is nothing but the number of waves which has sent by the initial wave. So ultrasonic sound is a sound which with high pitch with a pitch too high to be detected by a human ear. Okay. Properties of sound. Sound cannot travel in a vacuum. Sound energy to be transmitted or transferred from one particle to the other particle. All sound waves either audible or ultrasonic. Audible sounds are generally 16 to 20 kilo megahertz or kilohertz. Okay, 16 kilohertz to 20 megahertz. So these generally are heard by human ear. Beyond this, we cannot able to hear. But beyond these sound waves are called as ultrasonic sounds. So what happens if we hear beyond this? There is nothing but if you hear ultrasonic sounds, we cannot able to tolerate those sounds. Okay, we cannot if it is infrared sounds, we cannot able to hear them because it is less than our For example, earthquake sounds. So these cannot be heard. So who can hear these sounds is generally dogs, rats, cats. These small animals can able to hear the infrared sounds. Okay, which are less than the audible sounds. All sound waves, whether audible or ultrasonic sounds or mechanical vibrations of the particles which are present inside it. So generally, the sound waves are being classified into three types: one is longitudinal, transverse, or surface or Rayleigh waves. So longitudinal waves are nothing but before entering into this, let us see. Ultrasonic waves are very similar to light waves. Yeah, it undergoes reflection, it undergoes some amount of refraction also, but most of the time it will undergo reflection. So reflection occur when sound waves interact with the surface of different acoustic properties. For example, if you are having a wood and a glass, so the way the wave behaves in one that is in the glass and in wood will be of a different nature. So because of these different phases, there will be a refraction process happening between the two surfaces. Just like a light, when light enters from air medium to water medium or water medium to air medium, it gets diffracted from the normal, diffracted from the normal. The same thing happens in the sound waves, basing upon the type of medium, basing upon the acoustic property, the nature of the sound waves will be deviating. Its energy will be decreasing, either decreasing or basing on that it will behave. In solid material, the vibration energy can be split into different modes. When the waves encounter an interference at an angle of other than 90, okay, the ultrasonic reflection from the surface of the discontinuous geometry features enables the detection on location of the what do we say, the flaw. If the flaw is a horizontal or a vertical or basing upon its geometry, we can able to understand the reflection process, how the reflection is being taking place, and how the variation in the frequency is going to happen. Basing on that, we can able to understand the discontinuity geometry and discontinuous position. Okay, the velocity of sound in a given material is constant and can be altered by changing the mode of energy. Okay, longitudinal waves. Longitudinal waves are nothing but in which the particles displace along the wave, in the direction of wave, but whereas the direct the longitudinal waves are the waves in which the displacement of the medium is in the same as or the opposite to the direction of propagation of the waves. So a wave is propagating like this, the vibrations will happen like this. Okay. So there is in longitudinal waves generally we will see compression and what do we say, refractions. Compression is nothing but all the sound waves coming together. Refraction is nothing but the gap between them. Okay. So the mechanical longitudinal waves are called compressional or compression waves because they produce compression and rate fraction when they travel from medium, and pressure waves because they produce increase and decrease in pressure. So this way. So at some point they will all come and they will become closer to one another. So then they will transmit the energy to the next layer. So when they transmit the energy, there will be, when the energy is not transmitted to the next layer, there will be a rare fraction created. Okay, so the highest so this is called as longitudinal waves. Okay. In longitudinal waves we can able to see this. So what is wavelength now? Between the distance between the two adjacent compressions or two adjacent refractions is nothing but called as wavelength. Okay. So next is transfer waves or shear waves. In shear waves generally if the sound wave is traveling towards the right towards the x direction, then the vibrations will be happening along y and z direction. For example, if you are throwing a stone into a water, so water is spilling down into the water. Because of that, the vibrations will be, there will be a crest and a trough. So how to identify the difference between the transverse waves and longitudinal waves is nothing but, in longitudinal waves there will be a formation of crest and there will be formation of refraction and the compressions. But whereas in transverse waves there will be a formation of crust and troughs. Okay. So the light is an example of transverse waves, while sound is a longitudinal wave. But whereas the visualization of longitudinal waves can be seen in a light, that is nothing but transverse waves can be seen in a string or in ponds. Okay, so in this way, crust, drop, height, drop, height, drop, height, drop, height, drop. Now amplitude. What is amplitude? Is nothing but the highest distance which a wave can travel from its reference plane or from the origin is called as amplitude. Okay, highest depth or highest height or highest depth, both we consider as amplitude. Next is surface or Rayleigh waves. This type of waves can travel only along the surface bounded on one side by a strong elastic force of the solid, on the other hand, by non-existing elastic force between the gas molecules. The surface waves, therefore, are essential non-existing in solid immersed in a liquid unless the liquid covers the solid only as a thin layer. So these are the surface waves. Next is lamp waves. Lamp waves are plate waves are nothing but when the thickness of the plate is very less. So if you try to give a frequency to the plate will try to vibrate. That kind of vibration is called as lamp waves. So the lamp waves is also of two types, that is symmetric and asymmetric. Symmetric is nothing but for one side there will be a expansion, for the other side there will be a compression. So these are called as symmetric waves, whereas this is called asymmetric. Okay, clear? Next, so therefore, though there are many different modes of wave propagation, generally we use only four type of waves for NDT, that is longitudinal compression, next is transverse, and Rayleigh method, elliptical objects, symmetrical mode. So next is plate lamp components perpendicular to the surface. So basing on the type of wave we have to use for various type of flaws. So the velocity of sound in a particular material is constant. For example, it is in air, so it is in a what is a steel, it is in a water. So it has some, because why we are saying the velocity of sound in a particular medium is constant, because the material will have the same kind of what do we say, the arrangement of unit cells within a material. So when the frequency is given to the unit cell, they travel in the same way in all the mediums. So in that particular medium, so for that particular medium the unit cells are fixed, so you are not able to change them. So because of that, the sound wave velocity for a particular medium is always constant. So in this we have seen that the velocity of a compression longitudinal waves is like 5960 meter per second, whereas in water it is 1470. Whereas in compression it is whereas it is in air is 330 meter per second. So what is the formula we will generally see for longitudinal waves is V longitudinal V is equal to root of E of 1 minus mu V, where mu is Poisson's ratio, density 1 plus mu into 1 minus 2 mu. Okay. So whereas for shear plane waves, it is like Vt is equal to root of G by rho, where G is modulus of rigidity, rho is density. We know the relationship between modulus of rigidity and Young's modulus, that is G is equal to E by 2 into 1 plus mu. Okay, so say from this we can be able to analyze that the longitudinal waves and the shear waves we have almost two times faster compared to that of a transversal. The transverse waves, if it is like 3130, then the compression will, that is nothing but the longitudinal waves is like 36320. It is almost twice. The longitudinal waves are approximately twice as fast as transverse waves. Okay. So acoustic spectrum, when you see that humans can able to hear from 16 hertz to 20 kilohertz. Ultrasonic hertz are nothing but 20 kilohertz to 20,000 hertz. Now when you are trying to test the materials, we generally fix from 1 to 10 megahertz, 1 megahertz to 10 megahertz, not beyond this, or 0.5 megahertz to 50 megahertz. Okay. So frequency generally we have studied the number of waves. So for example, in this 1 second, only one wave can travel in that particular distance, then it is called as one cycle per second. Whereas if it is taking three cycles, or three number of waves are traveling in 1 second, then it is called as three cycles per second. There is nothing but three heads. Okay. So the frequency and the wavelength which you have studied, wavelength is nothing but the distance between the crust, two adjacent crusts or two adjacent crusts. Okay. Generally, the choice of the test frequency depends upon the two factors, that is the minimum size of the defect and which is to be detected, and the medium in which we are going to be selecting. So the frequency from 0.5 to 50 megahertz, which frequency you have to select. So first you will try to send the highest frequency, then you can able to identify the flaw. Then you will try to send the lowest frequency, then you can able to identify the flaw or not. We can see. Basing on these two differences, we can able to study that the frequency, the flaw, the discontinuity present in the surface. What type of discontinuity is it? Either it is a small or higher. We can able to we can take a decision based on that. Okay. Now the sensitivity and the resolution of the two terms that are often used for ultrasonic inspection testing. The sensitivity is nothing but the ability to identify the smallest flaw. There is a small crack, smallest crack. So the sensitivity of the frequency, the sensitivity of the sound waves which you are sending, it should be that much high that it can able to identify the small discontinuity. Whereas resolution is nothing but the ability of the material, ability of the frequency to identify the are to locate the position of the discontinuity, where it is present, either it is present at 10 mm, 20 mm, 30 mm, or on the surface or inside the surface. So this we can able to identify. So resolutions are also generally increases as the frequency increases, whereas sensitivity will also increases with respect to the increase of frequency. Okay, so if you have high frequency, you can able to identify the sensitivity and resolution of the surface. Okay. Next, this is wavelength. We have already studied the distance between the two adjacent crust and two adjacent crust is called as a wavelength. One complete wave, the length, the distance between the complete wave, that is nothing more from the start to end point, is called as one cycle is called as a wavelength. Okay. So wavelength and the frequency are reciprocal to one another. Wavelength lambda is equal to v by f. If you increase the frequency, obviously there will be decrease in wavelength. Okay, so that is when the number of waves will be increasing every time. The wavelength and the frequency, the higher the frequency, the smaller the wavelength, the smaller the wavelength, the higher the frequency. The smallest detectable flaw with the system or the technique. Okay, sensitivity. In ultrasonic, that is the smallest detectable flaw is 1 by 2 of half of the wavelength. Okay, if you are using a wavelength of 1 meter, then you can able to identify a flaw of half mm. Okay, so reflection. So the light can be reflected, can be bent and move through the material, which is called as refraction or reflection. Or light can bounce back the material, which is called as reflection. When sound waves travels in a medium, it strikes the surface of another medium and bounce back some other direction. This phenomenon is called as reflection of sound. The waves are called as the incident and the reflected sound waves. So divergence, the term used to describe the spreading of ultrasonic waves beyond the near field. It is a function of transducer diameter and the wavelength in the medium. So the divergence angle is nothing but divergence is nothing but how far it is diverging from one surface. If you are starting from here, how it is diverging. For example, if you take a light, if you open a tap, so the water initially will be thick. When you go down, the water will be like diverge. Okay, so that is diverging angle. Scattering is a reflection of sound waves from the original direction or propagation. Scattering is also say absorption. It is a conversion of sound energy from one form to the another form. So with this we will try to stop. Already I have completed 2 classes. So this is our third unit. We have already started. So try to go through all the topics so that we can understand them. If you have any doubts, you can raise the questions in comment box so that we can able to clear the doubts. Thank you.